Hey guys, it's Trisha with Upcycled Stuff. Today I'm going to show you how to finger knit this t-shirt yarn bracelet that has beads on it. I'm sure you've seen the braided bracelets in the past. I haven't seen any with beads though, so I'm going to show you how I made this one. It's really simple, and if you need instructions on how to make this ball of yarn from t-shirt, I'll leave a link below back to a tutorial that I did to make t-shirt yarn. The supplies that you'll need are a ball of t-shirt yarn or just some strips of it. You won't need too much of it. And you'll need some pony beads. These are beads that have really wide openings on them. I'm using plastic, so this is a great kids craft if you're using plastic, but you can class it up a little bit using some metal beads or glass beads, but just make sure it has a wide hole in it. And then of course you'll just need a pair of scissors for trimming up your edges. So let's get started. So first and foremost, I'm using 1-inch strips of t-shirts that were rolled into t-shirt yarn. And this is a lot of fabric to try to shove through this little tiny pony bead. So just to get it through, I'm going to cut a really wide angle slice in it, just so I can get a long pointed section of t-shirt to get it through my beads. And then I'm going to string on about 2 dozen beads because I'm not taking my yarn off my ball before I make my bracelet. If I were taking just a piece of yarn, then I could bead the beads on if I needed more later. But I don't know how much yarn I'm gonna need because it really depends on how tightly I wind the yarn as I'm finger knitting. So it's just easier for me to bead the beads on, and then I can always remove them later. I think I cut that too skinny because now it's pulling. Okay, so you're going to need about 24 beads. I think I used 22 on here, but I also noticed a place where I skipped a couple of beads. So I usually string on a couple dozen. If you have a smaller wrist, you'll need fewer beads, or you don't have to do every braid. You can do every other, whatever pattern you'd like to do. So go ahead and get your beads strung on here. If you have extra, you can always remove them later. For me, it's easier to remove them than to add them once I've started. Okay, I have all my beads on my string, but before I get started with that, I want to show you the basic finger knitting method that I'll be using so that you can see it without all the adding the beads. It can get a little complicated. So you're going to hold the end of the yarn between your thumb and your index finger, and you only need to hold it there for a minute just to anchor your first stitch or two. Take the rest of your yarn, wrap it behind your index finger and in front of your middle finger, and then come back behind your middle finger and on top of your index finger. So now it looks like you have a loop on each finger. You're going to take the end of that yarn on your index finger, wrap it behind both your index and middle finger, come back up on top of your middle finger, come back up on top of your index finger, and then just lay it there. So you have 2 loops and then a piece of yarn across each finger. You're going to take the loop on the bottom of each finger and put it behind the finger that it's on. Oops, this is supposed to be on top. Take the one on the bottom and stick it behind the piece laying on top. Then take your yarn again and lay it across both of your fingers. You don't have to weave it, you just have to lay it across, and then pull the bottom pieces over the top and lay them off your finger, roll them off your fingers. Take the yarn, roll it back behind your fingers again and lay it on top. Take the bottom piece and slip it over the back of your finger. Same thing here. Okay, you can let go of this yarn now, just take it behind your 2 fingers and give it a little tug, and you'll see the stitches start to tighten up and you'll see it take shape. So that's already has sort of like a knot in it, that's why you don't have to knot your piece. So you just give it a nice little tug. Back over the top, and then just keep doing this until you get used to the way it feels before you start adding beads on. It comes apart really easy, so you're not going to waste your yarn that you practice on. I'll show you, you can just pull it apart. Okay, so you want to make sure that you're pulling and snugging on both of those pieces, and move your yarn, your work down your fingers as it starts to get close to the top. Okay. Back over. Okay, now I'm not keeping my work very tight, but you see the process. It sort of looks like a braid, kind of. Okay. So if you were to take it off your fingers, this is what it would look like. And as you pull, that gets a little bit tighter. Okay. So let's go ahead and try it with some beads. You can just pull your working piece, and all of it will come undone, including where it had that little artificial knot. Okay, so here's my beads are all strung. If you want to take them, sometimes it's easier to space them out along your working string. I'm just going to leave them here for now. Alright, so stick the end of your yarn between your thumb and your index finger, and then weave behind your index, in front of your middle, behind your middle, in front of your index. Come back around both and lay it on top of both fingers. Right now we're not going to do beads for the first 2 stitches. This will be the part that's in the back of your wrist anyway. So it'll look like this with no beads on it, and that's okay. Wrap it around. Roll it over. Alright, you want to give a tug to both pieces. You can let go of your index finger now, or let go of that piece between your index and thumb. Pull it to the back and give it a good tug to tighten that up. Okay, and now you're going to take 2 beads. I take them 2 at a time. Bring it up to your work. Now I'm going to put one here, just past where that junction is, where there's the loop over the working piece. Wrap the other one around your finger and keep this bead just past the second finger. Don't worry about perfection, because we're going to adjust these all after the bracelet's made. Okay, so then same thing. Just flip that over. And if you have to move your bead again, move it. That's fine. Okay, so you want to make sure that your bead stays, you want to make sure it doesn't go underneath this loop. So if you have to, because it probably will try to slide through, just adjust it so it stays on that side. Okay, and then pull up 2 more beads. Bring one right to the center there. Okay, and then your other one goes just past your finger. And loop it behind your finger. Okay, give everything a good little tug. You don't want your work to be too loose on your fingers. 2 more beads. One to the center, and one just past your second finger. And keep doing this until you get your bracelet to the desired length. Okay, once you get a good length with all your beads on it, it's time to tie it off. This is pretty simple. So you're going to carefully slip off the loops that are on your fingers. Keep them in between your fingers on the opposite hand. Bring them together like that. And then cut off a piece of your t-shirt yarn. Okay, so the working piece just goes sliding through both of those loops. Alright, and now just give a good tug on both ends, both of those pieces of t-shirt yarn. Now this isn't knotted yet, so just be careful not to let go. You're going to take both of your ends and tie those 2 pieces of t-shirt together. My bracelet came out awfully big. I will. So just give them a good knot. Snip those ends up. And then we need to adjust some of your beads. So slip it on your wrist. Okay, so if you look at them side by side, the red one I've had time to make some adjustments to my beads, and my blue ones I haven't. So you're just going to go through and look at the pattern on your bracelet and make sure that everything lines up the way it's supposed to, right? So I have a bead on each opposite strand of yarn. And if they need to be slid up and down the t-shirt, you can move them up and down the t-shirt. This one is tucked up inside, so I'm going to pull that down. Okay, being careful not to pull too much of your t-shirt, otherwise you'll have these loose loops that are hard to adjust later. Okay, so you're just going to keep doing that all the way up and down your bracelet until it looks the way you want it to. Okay, beads hiding in there somewhere. There we go. Okay, so I think that's about how I want it to look. And then it's ready to wear.